This is John McAllister with my weekly podcast around the state. And today we're taking a look at NAIA football. And I reached out to an old friend of mine, Doug Coate, who's coached NAIA football for many, many years. He's retired now. He coached at St. Francis in Fort Wayne, still lives there. And excited to talk to him about NAIA football and get something out there to the fans that many people are not familiar with NAIA football. With that being said, I hope you enjoy the podcast. Doug Coate, how are you doing? Pretty well, I hope.
I'm very well, John, and you look good.
Thank you. I'm turned 73. Well, here's the thing. I reached out to you because I think you're like Mr. NAIA's football, because I've known you for a long time, and at Findlay years ago, and then I think you were at St. Francis, and now you're retired. But those were NAIA schools. So I run a streamer across the bottom, National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, NAIA. Tell me basically what the NAIA is about.
The NAIA, predominantly private schools that provide academic and athletic money to student athletes. So it's kind of you're in between Division II NCAA and Division III. Many NCAA 2 schools, I don't know what the percentages are, state schools, and that's a little different costs, compared to private schools. Most of the NAIA schools, I think there are just a few state schools, are private, but their goal is obviously to provide academic money, institutional money, and athletic money to student athletes.
Okay, good. Now, are there 2 divisions I've heard? Is there such a thing as that?
No, there's not. As a matter of fact, football condensed in 1997. And when I was at Findlay, we were fortunate enough to win the national title. The first year they went to 1 division and had a 14-0 team and were national champs. Then this past year in basketball, they just condensed to 1 division also. And it used to be, 2 divisions. And so they have probably in basketball, I want to say maybe 250 some schools. And our basketball team at St. Francis, this past year, they were the only NAIA 2 school that made the Final Four. Now, they did not win it. Shawnee State in Ohio won it this year. So they condensed to 1 division this past year, and then football did it in 1997.
So it's all 1 division now.
All 1 division now, yes, sir.
I wasn't quite sure. Okay, you give scholarships. Let's talk about, let's go back a minute. Okay, I'm going Division I, Division II, Division III. Where does the NAIA basically fit in there?
It fits in between, right below Division II. Division II is allowed to have, I think, 35, I could be wrong, a number 2, 35 full scholarships, and you break them up on your team. NAIA, we are allowed to have 24 full scholarships of student athletes that get on the field that year. So if you don't get on the field, you don't have to count that individual. Okay, they don't play, you don't count them. In Division II, I think you have to count everybody on your roster. So NAIA has 24 that can get on the field and play that year, and you have academic exempts and injury exempts and that type of thing.
Right, for sure. Do you give full scholarships, or do you break them up, or how do you do that?
We always broke them up. Rarely does anybody give a full scholarship, room and board and all that. Most of the time it'd be they may be eligible for state aid or federal aid, and then possibly institutional aid. Now they end up could be getting a full ride, but it would be from different resources, right. A, B, C, or D that contribute to that full ride. Yes, sir.
And honestly, in Division I, we obviously people are familiar with, those aren't all athletic scholarships.
That's correct.
They say they are, but they bring other sources. I mean, they call them athletic scholarships, but unless it's changed, I don't think they're totally athletic scholarships.
You could be right on that. That's a possibility. Yes.
Much like you're talking. I mean, they don't tell you that, but that's a little bit.
Right. Right.
Okay. Roughly, what would it all depends, but what kind of ballpark are you talking about for 1 year? If I'm going to go to is Trine out there? Are they NAIA as well?
They're Division III.
Oh, Division III. Okay. Yeah. So
Ohio has no NAIA football playing schools anymore. Our mid-state conference has 16 schools, 5 different states. The most eastern NAIA school now is Concordia, Michigan, in Ann Arbor.
Okay, so
that has changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, excuse me. Go ahead.
Well, you're probably getting to the cost. What does cost about an average NAIA school? I want to say between probably 40 and 45,000 now. I guess maybe around 40,000 average
for the
room, board, and tuition. Yes.
For the first year.
Well, yes, and it goes up a little bit. Like every private school, it goes up a little bit every year. Yes, sir.
But I would think there would be quite a bit of aid you can get at NAIA. I would think
there is. There's quite a bit of aid. Yes, right. There is. Yeah.
Right. Plus, okay, let's talk about. I thought I agree with you. I think it's closer to Division II than Division III. Of course, I think Division II is closer to Division I than Division III. So you guys are in the mix there. Okay, what about, I'm going to ask, what about academics on this, admissions to the NAIA schools?
Well, every school has their own institutional policies. Some are like Division III and Division I schools. Everybody's got a different. To be eligible in athletics in NAIA, you have to meet 2 of the 3 requirements. You have a minimum ACT and SAT, one or the other. You have a 2.0 overall, your GPA, not core like NCAA uses. And then the third criteria would be your class rank. If you are ranked in the top 50% of your grad class, that gives you a good strike. And you can mix that. You can add that with a GPA or a ACT score and become eligible. You have to meet 2 of the 3 requirements. So NCAA does not have that, and it's helped a lot of kids that possibly aren't good test takers, and but they've got good GPA, they work at it, and they're ranked in the top 50% of their graduating class, and helps them become eligible their first year.
Oh, I think it's great, by the way, because we get caught up in academics and all these things, and I think these kids need a place to play football. And obviously, I got to go back to one question.
Okay.
Isn't Central State NAIA?
They used to be. They're Division II now. They are Division II, NCAA. They used to be. They used to be NAIA Division I, and boy, they had a powerhouse back in the 90s with Billy Joe was there. A couple years, they had guys drafted before Ohio State had a guy drafted. A couple years there. They were quite a powerhouse. Yes.
Okay, that's good. That leads me in the word drafted. What about kids coming out of the NAIA? Do they get looked at by the pro scouts?
Well, it's like many individuals in small sports. Word's got to get out on you. Like anybody else, we tell you, if you're good enough, they're going to find you. If you're good enough, because other coaches talk about you too. They really do. Say, if you stop at this school A, and that coach will say, you know what, you better go up the road and check out this kid at this other school. He's pretty good. So you got to stand out. We're not, they do a good job of coming in their junior years in the spring and evaluating kids and watching film. And if they don't have anybody, they're going to move on, but you have to be that guy that when they walk on the field at practice, they look at you, go, that's the kid I'm looking at. And on film, same thing. You got to stand out. You got to be the best one. Yes.
I agree. And I would say also, with what I've done for so many years, it only takes one guy to like you.
You're right. Yes.
To like you, one college coach to like you.
Yes.
And I think that's really neat. Do most players go 4 years in at your school?
Yes. Most of them do. Some go 4.5. because football, you get that fall season. That we will not redshirt them on there. We'll ask them to redshirt, but they don't have to take it because it's a private school. You got to pay a lot of money. But most kids try to get out in 4 years. Yes.
Right. And then, okay, let's go. I'm brainstorming myself. Tell me about the Ohio kids that are on at St. Francis now.
Well, right now, a young man that's really a standout as an offensive lineman from Columbus Grove, Ohio. His name's Rhys Roney, and he's a big one. He's 6'3", 310. I always liked Northwest Ohio kids that played 3 sports. Had some great ones at Finley. Craig Ackerman, who was a special teams coach for the Titans. I golfed in his outing here a couple weeks ago, but he had 16 letters in high school. 16. That means your freshman year, you're earning 4 letters. But he played everything. Bo Hurley, Upper Soda Valley, not a bad name. National Player of the Year. The first Rawlings National Player of the Year. And again, played multiple sports, small school. But Rhys Roney is one where he played 3 sports in high school, and he's got great feet. He's got a little nastiness in him, and you know why? He's related to my wife.
Is that right?
Yes. So they got that nastiness in their family. You want that big lineman to be a little mean and all. And she were distant cousins to my wife. Yeah. But he's a standout there right now. And over the years, my gosh, they have a young man from Kenton, Ohio that catches the ball very well, Landon Rush. And he's a big kid, 6'3", 200 pounds, 190, 200. And, Kenton's been known to throw the ball a little bit, and he's got great hands and doing a very good job. But over the years, our kids from, Ohio, we've just had some great ones. Lucas Sparks was a defensive end from Springfield Shawnee on our national championship team in 16 and was a player of the game on defense. And we've done pretty well with smaller schools that high schools that have come to our place, and they've stood out. They've done a good job.
Well, I will tell you, I know the Rooney family, okay?
Oh, okay.
And I know Dad. Dad is one of the guys, I think, that would text me and say, hey, when are you going to talk about NAIA football? When you
Okay, good. Okay.
I know those guys, and I'll tell you.
Okay.
And the thing with nice about Rhys is, I don't know if he has it now, but he had a chip on his shoulder about proving how good he could be. Now, it wasn't a cement block, but it was a little smaller. But, he had a little chip on his shoulder there, and he's done really well. I like him a lot.
Yes.
I would tell you, I think it was I went to watch throw the shot and track maybe.
Okay.
When he tried so hard, he's messed up because you saw him. He's going to puff up. No, he's really a good kid.
Good kid, yes.
I'm glad you brought that up because he's one of the guys, and his dad. And, of course, I go back to Bo Hurley. I remember him years ago. No, that's really neat. And I think that now a tribute to you is that I saw every clinic, every college night, every camp. I think you were there.
Well, I don't know if I hit all of them. I tried to hit as many as I could.
Honest
That's for sure.
Goodness, I really believe you've got to turn over every stone. But with the business I do, and you've seen me at a few of those places.
Oh, yeah.
Years. But I think that's so good. That's a tribute to you, and that's good. And the other thing is, I didn't realize, I do my homework on these things. You're from Bell Fountain, Ohio?
Yes, sir.
Oh, my
Chieftain.
goodness. Huh?
Old Chieftain. Yes, sir.
No, when I go the back way to Dayton, I go through Bell Fountain. I got to get ice cream, and I think it's West Liberty on the corner. But Bell Fountain is the longest town I've ever go through.
Is that right?
I think all the stores are right on the main 68th there. Okay, let's go back to NAIA. Now, we talked about getting drafted. We talked about those things. And I think it's really important. We talked about graduation rate. What would you say, Doug, and it's purely your opinion, what's the difference between NAIA football and Division II football?
Honestly, John, there's not that much of a difference, a little bit of a difference, but I did see a Division II game last spring. I went and observed one, and I did notice that their linemen are a little bit bigger than ours all the way across the board. We may in NAI average, 6'2", 6'3", maybe some 6'4s up there. I looked at the linemen of Division II, and many of them are 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". They're a little bit money, so they have a little bit bigger. They have more money, and they're kind of buying a little bit bigger linemen. I think the skill is very similar. I think skill at Division II and NAI is there's a lot of similarities there, and I would say the big difference would be in the offensive line and defensive line.
Right, but skill-wise, I mean, it's got to be pretty close to being. I mean, about equal, I would think. I
would think so. I would guess, yeah.
And if it isn't, it's apples and oranges. I mean, it's close.
Yes.
If it's not, and I'm a big Division II guy. I mean, I think it's really an underrated level. Division
yes,
II.
I agree.
And I just think it is. And you're around it a little bit, and you're a football guy, so I know that. Okay, that's really good. What else? Why would you? Wait a minute, I do have a question. What about going to school? How many hours do they have to take? What's a class load at NAIA? Is it the same?
It is the same. If you take 15 credit hours every semester, that gives you 30 for the year. Times that by 4, 120 hours. So it's the class requirements are the same, and we always encourage our kids to take 15. You may have struggle in one class, possibly you may have to drop it. If for some reason, and if so, you're down to 12. You have to take 12 hours to be full time, but 15 hours to graduate on time. That's one thing we always encouraged, and a lot of kids took more than that, and just graduated with a couple more degrees or early also. And then some just struggled to pass, as struggled just to pass 12 hours. And then of course you got summer school. Right. And now summer school is not free at our place. Where Division I, they pay for it. Here it's it's coming out of your pocket.
So it's coming out of the players.
Yes, right? Exactly. Yeah. So if they may opt to take that, or they may have to take it for eligibility, but it comes out of your pocket at NAI. Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, another question. Do many kids stay on campus in the summer?
Yes. Yeah, they do. They stick around. We'll have, now this is a big city, so we got a lot of working opportunities for our kids. So we would usually have 70 to 80 kids stick around to work out in the summertime. And we'd have the workouts, May, June, July, give them a little break before camp start. But with all the jobs that are available, there's some schools that are in small towns. I know there's a good NAIA school, I won't mention, out in Kansas. And my gosh, they'd maybe have 4 or 5 guys stick around because they had 1,000 people in town. There's no jobs. Right. So you have to send them home. They got to work out on their own. They got to throw and catch and run, lift and all that. But a city this size, a lot of opportunity. We've always had around 70, 80 guys that stuck around the summertime. Very good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a thing I think people need to know because of that.
Yes.
Plus, I would think the camaraderie and the being around the coaches and being around each other is getting bigger and stronger.
Right.
It's invaluable. I mean, the camaraderie would seem like that's huge.
It makes a big difference. And Fort Wayne is a big college town. There are 7 to 8 colleges in this city, and there's a lot of going on. It's a fun time. I don't remember been to a festival in Fort Wayne or not, John, but there's a lot of festivals in the summertime, and minor league baseball going on. It's really it's a good city. It's a very sports minded city, and it's an easy city to sell. Yeah.
The Tin Caps.
You got it. Yes, sir.
I've got the Tin Caps. I think they're level A. And the reason I say that is because I used to have a couple of close friends in Fort Wayne.
Yeah, I know that.
Whoa, I'm working on one now, but I don't know. Anyway, 2 more questions. That's good. Tell me, if I come out there, are you going to treat me to the brand chocolate?
I will bring some chocolate. It's expensive. I don't know if I can buy you 2 pieces, but at least buy you one. It's the best. The brand is the best. But you come out, you get some chocolate. Yep.
Then tell me, I was reading about your son Steph. Okay, and he ended up with some pretty good statistics at St. Francis, didn't he?
He did. It is Seth. Yeah, Seth. And he finished up. Was a 2016 first team All-American, a captain on the team, first team All-American, and that was our first national championship we won. So it was a great year. It was really fun. He was able to set a couple records, but he had a great offensive line. He had a great quarterback throwing to him, Nick Ferrer, who the next year was the National Player of the Year. So, you got to have a guy get you that football. And Nick did that. The offensive line gelled. And it's funny, he was able to he went to rookie camp for the Arizona Cardinals, didn't make it, kind of sat out a year, didn't know, extremely disappointed, whatever. Sat out a year, then he got back in it again, had a good agent out in St. Louis, went to a tryout for the Ottawa Red Blacks of the Canadian Football League, and he got signed out of that in 2018. Was a practice player up there, but started one game. Once they won their division, then they rested all their starters one game, and he got to start one game there. Then the next year, he was a starter at the first of the year, and then blew his knee out. Oh gosh, his 4th or 5th game of the year, and then rehabbed and all. Then the pandemic hit last year, didn't play, and so he was working now in Florida. But had a great career. Was surrounded with good people. It's funny, one of the things you mentioned about stats, when he was in the CFL, they were having a team meeting, all these guys, and they said, tell us one thing about yourself that no one knows. And he's a rookie. He's sitting in the back, of the classroom auditorium. And the one thing that he mentioned, which is kind of crazy, he still has a national record. One of them is that he caught a touchdown pass in 27 straight college games. Wow. Now, 27 straight college games, a touchdown pass. And at that time, he also will set the record. I'm bragging a little bit, 26 catches, TD catches that year, which was a national record also. That since has been broken. But you look at receivers, not too many receivers catch a pass in 27 straight games, or 20 or 15 or whatever. It was unique. He said, he mentioned that in that meeting. He said he had guys in the front row turning around looking at him, guy, where are you from? Where'd you do that at? And, of course, he was just the Indiana boy up there. Everybody, you go to Canada, everybody's from the South. You say, no, I'm not from the South. I'm from no, Indiana's the South to those Canadians all. But he had a good 2-year experience, and that was surrounded with some great people up there. Great organization, that's for sure.
That's really good. That's super. Okay, I would mention one more. I don't want you to talk about him, but my wife's uncle, Dave Kinsley, and then Dick Strom. Those guys are characters from Finland.
I did not know you were related to Dave Kinsley. Oh, my.
Dave Kinsley, well, it's my late wife, was his niece. That was Uncle Dave. I've known Dave Kinsley a long time.
He is one nice guy. Yeah. Super good guy, great supporter to the university. Coach Strom, I got to see him last week when Craig Ackerman had the golf outing, and he's pumping along. He's 87 years old, and he's had 9 lives. He's overcome a lot, and
I've done a lot. You know how he talks and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, yes. Okay,
last question. Okay, you call my house. I've got a son that's 6'2", 225, playing offensive, defensive line. Why are you going to recruit him? What are you going to tell him coming from St. Francis? How are you going to recruit for NAIA, Doug?
Well,
let's finalize this. What makes it separate?
Makes this okay?
I've got Findlay down the road. I've got Heidelberg. I've got Ohio Northern, and you come in and I say, "What is the NAIA? What are you going to tell me?" We've already. But conclusion now. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I would sell him on. I'd explain NAIA to him first. All these athletes, they don't know NAIA anymore, and you know what? There weren't some bad athletes on there. Walter Payton. used to be NAIA. You go back, the NAIA accepted historically black universities first before anybody else did. And so all these guys back the historic black universities, those Hall of Famers, old NAIA guys. So I explained that to them first. Talk about, like many schools do, that size, small classroom, individual. You know, they're going to know everybody says that, everything else. I sell the small school in a big city. So here you are, you're in a big city of 250,000 people. You've got a small university. You got the best of both worlds here. So if you are a kid that likes to shop and go to eat and all those things and go to festivals and concerts, right there in Fort Wayne. If you want to just hunker down on campus in a small campus with a couple of lakes on it, that's very scenic, and fish, you know, you can do that. So I would sell, we got the best of both worlds here. You got a small university in a large city, and there's a lot of opportunity for you.
Well, Coach Coate, I appreciate this, Doug. It's very informative, and I appreciate you taking the time. Okay?
Well, John, I appreciate you. Now, I'm going to turn the table on you. A lot of these people watching this podcast don't know what you used to do. You were the first recruiting guru of Ohio. I'm embarrassing you now. And you used to put out a big 33 tape, correct? And you did all the work yourself. You had to go out there, evaluate players, put this tape together, then sell it to universities and colleges, right? And that was a lot of work. Now look at the video stuff. A guy can do a highlight tape in 5 minutes now and send it off. But you were the guru. I always call John McAllister the guru of Ohio recruiting, and I don't think I'm wrong. So there.
I'm starting to slow down a little bit. I will tell you this. When I started, you know, I was the second guy by a year. One guy was out there, but I worked harder than he did. And here's what Urban Meyer told me about 4 years ago. He was giving me a hard time. He said, McAllister, how long have you been doing this? I said, oh, I don't know. And he goes, well, I remember when I was at Notre Dame as an assistant.
Okay.
And I laughed. He said, and you were one of 3 in the country that I talked to. He said, hell, now we got 3 in Central Ohio.
There you go. That's right. Yeah.
That's the ultimate. I enjoy it, and I really appreciate those comments, okay?
Well, you're the best, if you ask me. So
thanks, Doug.
I appreciate you having me on, John, and good luck and stay healthy and get on over here for some chocolate, okay?
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, thanks now.